Good morning, everyone. My name is Aaron Arrala, and welcome to English Goals, the course introduction. So, today we're going to be checking about what is English Goals, what does this offer for me, how this can improve the level of English of me and my students, and how this can help the parents in the way to help their sons or daughters, their children in general, to learn English. So, first of all, English Goals is an innovative English language course for lower secondary school students. It's divided into four levels. It takes students to B1 level of competences over the course of 4 years. 1 year, one level. So your students will have constantly feedback about all what they check the last years, the last units, the last levels, and will apply that in their new levels. So basically, it's a continuously progress to the improvement of the English level B1. Okay, but how do we get this? Okay, so the ways in which we get this is by the communicative language teaching. What's this? Basically, this focuses on interactive and practical language use, encouraging students to engage in real-life communication and apply their English skills efficiently. Then we have the CFR aligned curriculum. Okay, so we have the CFR aligned curriculum. Why we need this? We need this because this helps us guiding students from beginner to intermediate levels. We're talking about a pre-A1 to B1. And this helps us with clear progressive objectives according to the Common European Framework of References for Language. That's the meaning of CEFR. We also have the global awareness. This introduces global issues, Agenda 2030, and perspective through engaging content, helping students develop an understanding of the English-speaking world and global challenges. Okay, we also have the inclusive education focus on DEI. What is this? It's diversity, equality, inclusion. This supports diverse learning needs, ensuring that all students, including those with specific learning disabilities and special education needs, receive appropriate and effective instruction. We also have the vocabulary acquisition. We know that vocabulary is super important. There is no need for grammar if we don't have vocabulary. And English Goals help us with videos and contextual activities that are used to support the acquisition and retention of new words in changing students' abilities to understand and use English vocabulary in meaningful ways. We know that sometimes are words that have more meanings. For example, fish and fishing, they're pretty similar. Fish is pescado, fishing is pescar. So we need to know all these words in the correct context so we don't make a mess while we are talking. So that's why we need specifically the vocabulary acquisition. You need to know how to apply this into a conversation. You also have the flipped classroom approach. You know what's a flipped classroom? It's basically a change of roles. Okay, so this supports the flipped classroom techniques, providing material and resource for students to engage with content outside of class, thereby maximizing interactive and collaborative learning during classroom time. The teamworks are super special where you're studying English. Why is this? Because sometimes you are afraid of talk with a teacher, with another person, but there you're talking with your friends, people that have the same level as you. So you can go and be confident with them because they know the same as you. So the students need this, need to practice the flipped classroom approach. The book provides a lot of different ways, like readings, couple activities, team activities that you can apply in your daily study. And at least we have the meditation task. This is something interesting. Aligned with the latest CEFR updates, the course includes meditation tasks in level 3 and 4 to develop students' meditation competences and increasingly important skills in modern language learning. Okay, so why we need meditation while we're practicing English? This is really useful? Yes, it's really useful. Also is useful in our native language because sometimes we need to think about what we're saying. We can't just speak because we want to speak. We have to think, organize our ideas, stay calm, and then talk the correct words and the correct structures that we want to say. For example, it's not the same if I in English say blah, 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 blah. No, we need to say good morning, I am Aaron. Today I'm teaching about English goals. There are different levels about speaking, so that's why we need the meditation tasks. Okay, but which components I have to teach all these things? Well, we have the student book, the typical book with all the information, grammar, vocabulary, long readings, listenings, and all of this, focusing on a specific topic. For example, the first one is a new school. Then you can have animals, and you can have jobs. I know sometimes dinosaurs in some books, but the point here is that the student book helps the teacher and the student to focus on one topic, relating it with another that is more common for us. Then we have the workbook. That's where we put all the knowledge that we get in the student book just in one place with different kind of activities, exercises. Uh, there's where we answer reading, speaking. So workbook is really important. There's no student book without workbook. The interactive platform, we're going to be talking more about this in a few minutes. But the interactive platform is really useful because in these days, the kids don't want to use just a normal book. It's boring for them. But when they can use the computer, they feel more confident. It's a terrain that they know. They know a lot about technology. So they need to practice using the technology. And that's why we have the interactive platform and the mobile app that is also really helpful for the parents. They can check homeworks, tests, grades. So it's a communication between teacher, parents, and students. Okay, what else we have? We have other resources. We have the teacher support overview. This is the teacher's book. The teacher's book contains all the solutions to the exercises and the audio and video scripts for a student's book and workbook, as well as additional notes on teaching culture, flipped classroom pathways, and inclusivity. It also includes tests and resources for extra activities. The teachers need the information. They can't go uh, award and do what they want. As teachers, we want. I know that we want. But we have some information that we should follow. And that is the teacher's book. Here we have the answers in case of homeworks, in case of tests, and all of this kind of information that we need. And also we can help the kids understanding a little bit better the topics because there we have the structures, a little bit more information, and a lot of teaching tips. But what are the contents of a student book? This is very important. Please pay attention to this part. The contents of the student book. We have 8 units in all the levels. We have simple goals, pronunciation, workshop, speaking. Okay, all of these things. Oh, sorry. All of these things are applied in different ways in the units. Okay, for example, in level 1, we have the 8 units complete, simple goals, pronunciation, the workshop, the speaking cards, communicative functions review. Okay, those are for level 1. Level 2 is different. Here we focus just on the 8 units. The level 2, 3, we have the 8 units and focus on culture. The level 4 is the 8 units, the simple goals, and the culture. It's basically a mixture between all of those. Why we need this? Okay, so the simple goals are little goals that the students establish to know what they want to do, what they want to complete. For example, I want to learn the verb to be. The students can go to the verb to be, learn the verb to be, and at the end of the unit say, yeah, I know this. Those are simple goals. Learn a little bit of vocabulary, a little bit of structure. Okay, again, the pronunciation workshop. This is very important. Why? Because the pronunciation in English is really different with the pronunciation in Spanish. In the pronunciation in English, we have, for example, I am Aaron. I don't say I am Aaron. We need to practice pronunciation constantly while we are learning English. That's why we need a complete workshop just for the pronunciation. The speaking cards. The speaking cards are really necessary because it's like uh, yeah, it's like we are actors. You have one card, the other student have one card, and you two can practice by reading the words, the sentences, and all the information that you have there. They are like little charts. Okay, the communicative functions review is basically like a little exam about speaking, and the culture is different things that we do. For example, sometimes they talk about Asia, Europe, America, South America, Africa, Australia, about all the world. Okay, but we also have a workbook. How we use the workbook? It's pretty similar as a student book. We have the 8 units, the grammar tables, STEM goals, irregular verbs, exit test levels, A1 and A2, and, verb tables. Okay, so again, the unit 1 have the 8 units, the grammar tables, the STEM goals. The level 2 have the 8 units, the grammar tables, the irregular verbs, the STEM goals. Level 3 practice units, grammar tables, irregular verb, ET test for levels A1 and A2 and verb tables. On the level 4, the units, the grammar tables, irregular verbs, again the ET test for levels A1 and A2. Okay, but here is the thing. The grammar tables are super important. Sometimes, I know why, but English like to be like math. And we have to follow some formulas that make the result of a good structured sentence. Okay? The irregular verbs. This is a part that I really don't like. I have a little bit of trauma about learning these ones. But the irregular verbs are so important. There are almost 200 irregular verbs, and that's why we have the verb tables. We need to practice them to apply them in past sentences. Okay? And then the exit test for levels A1 and A2. This basically certificates that you are ready to have an A1 and A2. You have the capability to do an A1 or A2 exam. And actually, for a young person or for anyone, get an A1 or an A2 is pretty solid. It means that you're on a good way. You can then get a B1, a B2, a C1, a C2. You're in the way to be an English speaker. Congratulations. A unit 4. So, we're going to be checking a little bit about the units, okay? So, let's check. Starting with this one, a new school. As we see, we have some things that are common to do in our lives. Every student have gone to a new school. Even if they're just starting a school, they're going to a new school. And here we have vocabulary. Let's check. We have exercise book, math, geometry set, calculator, dictionary, pencil sharpener, pencil, rubber, ruler, pen, pencil case, and backpack. Okay, so it's all the vocabulary in these pictures. The students have the opportunity to relate not just the words with meanings. For example, I can say backpack is a type of case that you use to put things and take it to the school. Yeah, that's the complex way to remember it. But it's easier to say backpack, place it, oh, the yellow thing in the picture. Super easy, super simple, and better for the students. They can relate the words with the images. And then we have a listening activity so we can understand the pronunciation of each word. And then we have another vocabulary, a really simple vocabulary. It's the colors. We can relate colors with words, with things, with pictures that we see. Okay, then we have some videos that make us practice our listening and relate information with charismatic characters that we have here. Here we have, sorry, let's see the names. Yeah, they're Jake, Molly, and Layla. Molly, Layla, Jake. Nice to meet you. The next one is a reading activity. Those are descriptions. This is where the students familiarize themselves with the structures. For example, hello, I am. We are applying the verb to be. Great Britain. Britain. We are applying it with adjectives. Here we have plural, male, female, so we can relate the subjects, the verb to be with different kind of people. And here we have countries. We can relate one letter to a whole word. You know what's that? It's basically you say G, I say Germany. So you can remember constantly all of this stuff. Okay? Next, we have a dialogue word. You have to read a dialogue, complete a dialogue, memorize a dialogue. And what does this mean? This means that you will be able to understand better some structure, some words, the meaning, and how to apply them. It's not the same know what is late, of course it's tarde, and know how to use late, in which context to use late. Okay? So also we have the vocabulary about some things that we do and learn in the school, like math, English, geography, science, art, music, French, information technology, physical education, design and technology, religious education, and all of this stuff. Okay? So let me show you. Here we have more listening activities. True or false. It sounds like a simple activity, but trust me, when you repeat 3 times the audio, the students are nervous and focus on the audio so they can understand it better. These charts are my favorites. Basically, it's explaining you how to apply a little piece of vocabulary, okay? Here we have the verb to be. We know all the verb to be. Is, are the verb to be. In present, of course, was, were for past. And what happened with this? We are applying it in negative and interrogative. Negative is with an apostrophe T, and interrogative is change the roles. First the verb to be, and then the subject. Okay? So, let's continue. We can focus on communication. Here we have how to make a question. Here we are making questions. If you see, all of this is progressive. You start with a little bit of information, then you get a little piece and another piece and another piece, and it's like eating pizza. You like one piece, but when you have all of pieces, you are happier. You can eat more. Okay? So that's how this works. It works like a little pizza. What else we have? Here we have the grammar workshop. This is where all the grammar, the questions, verb to be, the WH questions, this is where we apply all of this. We have all this information, but we don't know how to apply them. Well, here they give you the space to apply it, and then you can apply it in a conversation, or in a listening, or even in a writing. So this is how you practice. It's not just learn, it's learn and apply. That's what English goals give to you. Give a way in which you can apply all this information in one. Here we have another example of grammar workshop in which we have a video. You can listen the video, focus on the information, relate the words and the structure with the actions of the girl in the video, and you will be able to understand that in a normal conversation. For example, you go to see your teacher, hey, may I go to the bathroom? And then he or she tells you the reasons why you cannot, but you don't understand. But you remember, hey, I saw this in a video. I understand this and I can answer the things that the teacher is saying to me. So that's impressive. Also, they don't leave you alone. You give you the way to learn a little bit more while you're writing. It's like you can do the exercise but you're relating it to possessive adjectives. This is amazing. Okay, the life and language skills. This is where we apply language skills in common ways. For example, what is important in your life? All of us have something that is important for all us in your lives. So we need to express it. And if we know how to express it in Spanish, we need to learn how to express it in another language. All of us have feelings. All of us want to share them and share them in new ways. It's the best thing that we can do. Okay, here you can learn vocabulary like crazy, about, life, fashion, awesome. Words that can describe our lives. Now we're finishing, so let's check the progress check. It's basically to know how much I've been progress in this. And let's see. Okay, choose the correct option. Maybe you see elephants, R. And I say, yeah, I remember. R is the correct answer. Sorry. And that's how we complete all the information and just unify it to apply them in a little gift for ourselves. This is how we can see that we have a lot of progress in this time. And I want to share with you that this is just one unit and you learn a lot of topics in a super easy way. And also you can have self-confidence because you apply them in a kind of test. But those are the books. Let's see what I know that you like more. Digital resources. What are the digital resources? We have LE Digital. We have interactive exercise, online ebook. We can create classrooms and assign tasks. Okay, I know. Sometimes it's difficult to think about a specific homework and a specific test to give to the students. That's why LE Digital offer us a lot of different kind of activities. For example, I know I want a vocabulary homework with uh, yeah, with a school vocabulary. We check school vocabulary, unit 1, homeworks, sent. And what happened? In LE-Link app, the students and the parents can take all this information. And you know what's the best part? If you send a kind of history so they can practice reading, you can literally scan the book. And if you scan the book, they're gonna show you the history and you just don't read all the thing. You can listen and talk to practice the activity. That's why all of this is so special. because they give you opportunities and new ways to learn. There is not just one way. There are a lot of different ways. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video, the presentation, and I hope that you can complete your English goals using English goals. I know that sometimes things like the digital resources can be new, but I'm completely sure that you can use this in a class or in their houses, and this is going to help the students to learn the English and they have the classes that they deserve. Okay, thanks for watching.